you ready to raise your game at Fork Union Military Academy? Sometimes described as the West Point of high schools, Fork Union is a leading college preparatory Christian boarding school for young men grounded in the structure of discipline of the traditional military academy model, and scholarships are available. Fork Union Military Academy's athletic program has produced hundreds of college and professional athletes, including 6 Olympians, 2 Heisman Trophy winners, and more than 120 NFL players. Fork Union Military Academy is a private school and is independent of any direct military affiliation or obligation. Schedule a tour and get started on your journey today by visiting forkunion.com. Fork Union Military Academy. Body, mind, spirit. It's the HoopWise Podcast from New England Basketball Journal. A comprehensive look at the basketball landscape in New England, tracking prospects, recruiting, college, and more, with your hosts, Steve Hewitt and Ethan Fuller.
Welcome back to another episode of the HoopWise Podcast. I'm Steve Hewitt, as always joined by Ethan Fuller. We are New England Basketball Journal. We have a special guest, longtime friend of the pod at this point. Trevor Hass from the Boston Globe is here to join us once again. I wasn't on the season preview podcast, so this is my chance to ask the pertinent question. What's up, Trevor?
What's up, Trevor? What's up, Trevor?
You're contractually obligated, so way to get it out of the way. Good job. Not much
Mandatory.
Yeah,
contractually obligated to ask a question that went viral back in the fall. We are back. It's the best time of the year, guys. The MIAA state tournament is here. I can't believe it's already back. I was actually telling somebody, one of our photographers recently, it felt like we were just at the Songa Center for last year's state championships, and we're back again. We have another 5 divisions to preview here. A 3-week kind of dash back to Lowell for the state championships. So we're here to preview the all 5 brackets. We're gonna go division by division here, previewing and with Trevor and Ethan, who in my opinion are probably the 2 best people to preview the girls divisions, in my humble opinion. But
okay, thank you.
I'm a little biased, but I don't think we could find 2 better people to preview these divisions. Before we start, we're gonna start at Division 5 and kind of build up to Division 1. But before we start, we had the brackets reveal over the weekend. Obviously, you guys have both made your picks, and we're gonna get into predictions and state championship picks. But before we get into that, I want to open the floor. What are your kind of maybe main takeaways? What are you most excited to see in this year's version of the tournament? I know Ethan has talked about maybe this year is a little bit more unpredictable than years past. I guess I'm curious, what are your kind of initial thoughts about the tournament as we kind of begin here?
Yeah, I think I do think it's more unpredictable. I think part of that is maybe slightly influenced by the changes in the power rankings and lowering the margin of victory. I don't think that changed seeding a whole lot, but I do think it changed some things. So we're going to see some really interesting matchups early on. And then I remember when Trevor and I talked that was only like 3 months ago, but we were talking about just how different the landscape looks with the talent that had left in the 2025 class and some of the new talent that we've seen in even like the underclassmen classes. I would say, like, there have been some players that have truly blown us away and given this a different picture than we expected. I would say this has exceeded my expectations for how many teams are like kind of in the mix for championships this year. And so I looked at Trevor's picks. They are bolder than mine. I talked a big game and then I was a little bit conservative. So I guess I'm sorry about that. But Trevor has made some great picks that I can't wait to talk about. Yeah.
I went big. I won't lie. I agree. I had some upsets. I didn't really expect it, but I was just kind of filling it out. You know, I was waiting for the storm, just chilling, put on my bracket Saturday night. And I was like, wait a minute, that 7 seed could beat that 2 seed. Oh, that one could also beat that 2 seed. And then I just kind of ended up taking a lot of 7 seeds. So we'll see what happens. I kind of just threw a lot at the wall and hope it stuck. So if one of them is right, then I'll look good, even if 2 are wrong. So I feel pretty good about that at least one's going to happen. Of course, none of them probably will now, but I think I agree. There's a lot of parity this year. I think it's been a great season. Like you said, it's kind of like each year there's a retooling and you don't really know what to expect. And a lot of those seniors that come up are just awesome players, and you're really excited to watch them play. And they've really stepped up to the challenge. So credit to them. I'm expecting a lot of great tournaments and great action. I think there are clear favorites in each division. I mean, Medfield is just by far the best team in Division 2. We all know that, but there are lots of good teams along the way that could potentially beat them. I'm not picking it, but it could happen. D1, Wachusett is the best team, but teams could beat them. There are a lot of great teams along the way. Same thing in D3, Fenwick, they're the best team, but it won't be easy for them. So I think there are just a lot of great teams out there, and I'm excited to see them full.
As someone who has in the past been publicly shamed for my bracket picks in the Boston Herald when I did my March Madness picks, I can attest to the overthinking and this team could beat that team. Well, yeah, why not? On any given day, that you could drive yourself into a pretzel.
A pretzel, that's a nice term, Steve. I like it.
Yeah.
Well, I guess I'm a writer in my spare time. So let's get into the brackets. Let's get into those picks. Like I said, we're gonna start Division 5, go down 4, 3, 2, 1, kind of build it up to the most hyped divisions, if you will. Division 5, I'll kind of queue it up by naming the top 4 seeds. We got number 1 Drury, number 2 Hopedale, number 3 Douglas, and number 4 St. John Paul II. Some teams that we don't typically cover, some Western Mass teams that are sometimes outside our radar, but Ethan and Trevor, what are your kind of takeaways with this bracket? And I guess who do you see kind of advancing far into the Final Four, and who do you think is going to come out on top here?
Yeah, I think again, this is the division we definitely know the least well, just because a lot of these teams aren't really competitive at a statewide level, but again, a lot of them have had great seasons. For me, when I look at Division 5, I always think about travel and home court advantage, because there are teams, this might be as far as like spread across the state, the craziest division, where like St. John Paul down on the Cape is going to be hosting just Western Mass teams that have to drive 2 hours to these games. So I think that's an inherent advantage for them. And then just strength of schedule too. I think like a lot of these teams play in, like, with all due respect, like not super competitive leagues and conferences. And so when you have a team that is relatively battle tested, I think that difference is magnified. So again, Hoosac Valley has kind of controlled this division the last couple of years. They're a little bit down this year. They're still a 9 seed, so I would keep an eye on them. My Final Four, just to get right to it, is the top 4. So it's Drury, Hopedale, Douglas, and St. John Paul II. So, and again, a lot of that is the fact that they're going to be hosting. And so my championship is going to be Drury, the 1 seed, pretty balanced team from my understanding, over Douglas, which is undefeated with kind of an asterisk because they lost to Hopedale in the Central Mass tournament. That championship doesn't count because it's after the deadline for the state tournament. But those 2 teams have split against each other, so it's interesting. And then I guess the only thing I would tee Trevor up for, in addition, because you've written about Minuteman and Moody Vader before, they're a 7 seed and a really interesting 7 seed. So those are kind of my quick thoughts on D5. I don't know what you would add to that, Trevor, but yeah.
Yeah, I think I'll talk about what I know about Muji Vader. Is a pretty inspiring story. She came to the United States when she was a kid, and she's from Africa, and she's had an incredible journey. She's really inspired a lot of people through her play. So it's really cool to watch her blossom into a star. She's been great statistically all 4 years, but now as a senior, she's been truly dominant. So she's been one of the best players in the state in any division in terms of stats. So I do have Minuteman in the Final Four. I have them beating Hopedale. I'm not sure if it will happen, but I figured, why not go with Muji? She's been fun player to cover, so I went for it. And then I have St. John Paul, I have Drury, I have Douglas, and then I have Douglas over St. John Paul in the championship. I don't know if I'm watching too much King of Queens and hearing Arthur say Douglas a lot, so I've been watching that show lately. It's a great show, but Douglas was kind of on my mind, and they were started 20-0, so I went for Douglas. No, I can't say I've seen them play, but that's my pick.
Yeah. No, it's a good one. You said, I read your preview this morning, and Muji's averaging like 24.5 points and 10 rebounds or something. I think you and Graham put that together, and I was blown away. And we see the big numbers that she puts up. So it'd be cool to see that in a tournament setting too.
Yeah. All right. Let's, so we got Drury, right, for Ethan, and, sorry, did you say Douglas?
Douglas, yep.
All right. So mark your bulletin boards down for D5 there. Let's move on to D4. Top 4 seeds here are Frontier Regional, Millis at the 2, number 3 South Hadley, number 4 Millbury. I have Ethan's picks in front of me, but I'm not going to spoil. I'm going to let him kind of reveal his thoughts on D4 and what do you got?
Thanks. I actually do have somewhat of a strong take on D4, even though, again, especially with teams like Cathedral moving up, a lot of these teams we don't cover a whole lot. Although I forget how much Millis you've seen, Trevor, in like the Tri-Valley League because they're a little bit closer. But we probably know that school the best. But in D4, I have South Hadley as a 3 seed, beating Frontier as a 1 seed. I think on the surface that looks like a little bit of a shock because South Hadley is 11-10 as a 3 seed, which is strange. But hear me out. So not only have they made the final, they finished runner-up in D4 the last 2 years, losing to Cathedral, as is no surprise really at the time. They bring a lot of that same core back. They have a good group of sophomores and juniors that are leading the way. They started 4-10 this year and have won 7 straight to close out the season. That includes a couple of big wins against like Frontier, the number 1 seed, Pittsfield, who's the 2 seed in Division 3. We'll get to them. And Wachusett, who is a number 5 seed in this bracket. So don't let the 11-10 record deceive you. I think South Hadley is really, really good. And they've played by far the toughest schedule in this division. So that's why I picked them. Otherwise, this is for similar reasons as D5, like a mostly chalky bracket for me. Frontiers looked pretty good. Millis, again, is one of the better tested teams playing in the Tri-Valley League. Manchester Essex is kind of interesting to me. So I think that quarterfinal matchup is pretty good. But otherwise, I've been pretty straightforward with my bracket.
March must be approaching because I have too many upsets looking back at this.
Let's go.
So I have Cohasset in the Final Four. I saw them the first game of the year against Duxbury. Addie Andrews is a heck of an athlete. She's playing basketball and lacrosse at Union, which is really hard to play 2 sports in college. I was impressed by people like that. And truthfully, the Cohasset didn't even play great in that game. They lost by 10, and you could tell that both teams could have played better because it was the first game of the year. They were a little rusty, but the fact that they hung around with Duxbury, who's the 11th seed in D2, I think is telling. And they played a little bit of a tougher schedule than some other teams in Division 4, so I kind of just went for it. And then I have Frontier in the Final Four as well. I have Millis. I think the tough schedule was important there. They've played some harder teams than a lot of teams in D4, so I do think that matters. And I have South Hadley as well. And then I have Millis over South Hadley, Frontier over Cohasset, and Millis over Frontier in the championship. So I went for Millis. I feel like they're battle tested and they're ready to break through.
I love that. So South Hadley, the 12 seed. And I think if there's a place to pick, like really throw a dart and like go with your gut, it's probably in one of the lower divisions where like you don't really know a whole lot about a lot of the teams. And so there's a lot of unpredictability there. So I like that pick. Dang. Okay.
If I'm right, it looks long. It's like it never happened. So
yeah.
The classic 12 over 5, right? With Cohasset. Make it
that's almost yep.
Yeah, I love it. Any more thoughts on D4 or any other teams that may be lurking there? I don't know if there's like a sleeper in there or you guys are pretty comfortable with those.
I think I thought Born last year against Cathedral. They did not. It was not a very close basketball game, but they showed some signs and they lost a lot of their team from last year. But they have some good players back from that team who have experience making a Final Four run. So I think that does matter. So Born is a team that could potentially make a run. I'm not banking on it, but it could happen. So that's a team to keep an eye on as well.
Yeah, and I would say, Manchester Essex, as I mentioned, they're a 7 seed. Lily Oliver's a really good shooter for them. City League champion O'Brien as a 27 seed is at least just like interesting to watch. They are back-to-back city champs, so keep an eye on them. But I feel like, I think Cohasset is probably the best bet. Otherwise, Wareham too is kind of interesting. I think they're 17-3 as a 25 seed. So those would be just my interesting other teams to watch.
These teams, they must be so excited that Cathedral's out. Imagine like they must be doing a happy dance.
Yeah. It's open now.
There will be a new champion now because Cathedral has moved up to Division 3. In this division, we're getting a little more interesting here with some teams that we're a little more familiar with. Number 1, Bishop Fenwick. Number 2, Pittsfield. Number 3, Apponequet. Number 4, Medway. Like I said, Cathedral moving up from D4 to D3 is number 5. Yeah, I'll open the floor. Trevor, you want to start D3? What do you got? What do you got with this one?
Yeah, I think D3. It's maybe the most unpredictable tournament of the 5 if you have to pick one. I just feel like there are a lot of teams that could make a run. I think whoever wins the potential Fenwick Cathedral game probably will win it all, but it's not necessarily a guarantee. I think that game is probably a toss-up. I have Fenwick advancing, but I think Cathedral is playing really well right now, and it's a tough out every year in the tournament. So I think that'll be a great game. I have Oakmont over Pittsfield, an 18 seed. I trust LF coach Howie Landau, and he told me that Oakmont is very, very good back a few months ago. So I'm just sticking. Howie, if you're listening, I value your opinion. So I went for Oakmont. Nothing against Pittsfield. And Apponequet is a fun story. They're 21-1, most regular season wins in program history. They're a team I haven't seen in person, but I hope I get to see in person because they're playing great basketball. They have 2 1,000-point scorers, Hannah Kirasak and Cecily Ralt. Hope I'm pronouncing those correctly. 2 great players who I've admired from afar for a while. So I think they have a good chance to make a run. But I actually do have Pembroke beating Apponequet. I did see Pembroke this year. Alyssa Marcella is one of those players who's just super clutch and kind of makes those big plays when you need them. She's someone you can lean on to finish in the clutch. So I happened to see a crazy game. She hit a shot at the buzzer to send it overtime. And she was honored for scoring 1,000 points that night, but maybe a bit skewed, but it was a great game. And I think they have a chance to make a run. Sophie Durocher is also a great point guard. Faye D'Angelo, very good player as well. So I think they're a team to keep an eye on. I have them advancing to the championship game, actually, against Fenwick. So I have Pembroke over North Reading in the Final Four, Fenwick over Cathedral, and then I have Bishop Fenwick over Pembroke. So I think the Boyle-Nielsen combo is just too tough to contend with. Their role players play great defensively and just kind of know their roles and stay in their lanes. And those two are probably the best duo in the state, if not the best, certainly one of the best. So they'll both play D1 and they're just really impressive to watch. So I think it's Fenwick's time, and they're still motivated after that ban a couple of years ago, the postseason ban. Still sticks with them. That team could have won with Cecilia K. Probably would have won, honestly, because those kids were freshmen and then Cecilia was a upperclassman. So I think it's their time to break through.
Yeah, I would echo a lot of what Trevor said. This is the first place that I think we started going in pretty different directions. So I guess I'll start with Fenwick. I agree with Trevor. Celia Nielsen and Caitlin Boyle are up there best duos in the state, 2 Division I caliber prospects. Celia Nielsen in particular, I think, has had an awesome season, and I've enjoyed watching her play. She's just a really tough defensive player to game plan around, because when I watch them, they'll play her off the ball and she just like jumps passing lanes and gets steals over and over. Or she's a legit 6-foot point guard and can guard on the ball too. So that's very tough. I do think Fenwick has a really difficult path to winning it all. And that includes a couple of teams that I know we really like. Pentucket. I know you're a big Amelia Crow fan. Yeah. You saw them play, right?
Yep. They're capable. Like my pick is Fenwick, but they could beat them. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So Pentucket as an 8 seed is interesting. Even that 8-9 game between Pentucket and Hanover, I think is going to be really good. If you're looking for a quarterfinal, or that'd be around a 16 game to watch, that's a good one. Then if you go to like the bottom left quadrant, you got, again, as you're about to see, I'm really high on Cathedral, but even like Medway and Norwell, that's a pretty good game. Then top right, Pittsfield, and you mentioned Oakmont. I really like North Reading too. I ended up picking Pittsfield out of that corner, but I think there are a couple of good teams there. I haven't seen Apponequet yet. I haven't seen Pembroke either, so I'm going a lot off of Trevor's hype, because I've also picked Pembroke to make the Final Four. My opinion. Yes, I do. I definitely do. Especially in the Patriot League, you see a lot of those teams a lot. So Fenwick, Pittsfield, Pembroke, and Cathedral are my Final Four. But then I picked Cathedral to win it all over Pittsfield, which goes against a lot of what I typically stick with, where I play it safe, and like Fenwick won head to head. Fenwick has the 2 best players on the floor. They're clearly motivated, as you said, but I think the reasons I picked Cathedral is I think they're playing better basketball now. I wouldn't say by a ton, and I wouldn't sleep on like Fenwick kind of crushing Needham at the end, but I think Cathedral's playing really good basketball now. They looked really awesome in the Comcast tournament, so maybe that's blinding you a little bit. But they also, I think, Trevor, you've probably heard Coach Clinton Lassiter say this, but they like, whenever they get on a big court, they're like at a massive advantage. And that's what's going to happen when you get to the Final Four and the state championships, is you're going to get the larger courts.
Again, you kind of snuck that in there, but it's actually a very valid point. They're just very conditioned and they like to play a transition ball. So I think that did favor them. And that was a big reason why they dominated that game.
Yeah. Yeah. So I think if they can get there, I think that favors them. And also Kiana Reigns is way better than even I realized. Like if there's anyone who in the last month has like changed my opinion about them as a player, it's her the most, I would say. Like she is so good. And so I think I'm going to ride the recency bias wave a little bit and pick Cathedral. I could look really bad because I think Fenwick might just be the best team and the toughest team to beat. So but I feel like I need to go bold somewhere, and this is probably the boldest that I went in all my brackets. So I'll pick Cathedral. Yeah.
I love that kind of detailed. I already mentioned this to you last night when I read your predictions, that point about the larger courts playing to their advantage. I think that's like something that probably no one really thinks about, but that like those little details and margins like could end up being the difference between in a game. Like like a couple bucket game, like a couple possession game, like that stuff kind of matters, right? Especially when we go to the Tsonga Center and the bigger college size courts. So
yeah, if they can run, they will be better in transition than Fenwick is, in my opinion. So that should help them.
I agree with your point, but to play devil's advocate, I do think that Fenwick playing Cathedral every single season, like they've played them 8 times, so they know they're not going to be intimidated by that. They know their skills and like what they know what they bring to the table. Obviously, it's vice versa as well, but they know kind of what it takes. They're not going to be overwhelmed by Cathedral's pace. So I think they know how to manage that, and I think Fenwick will play the game on its terms. So that was why I picked them, but wouldn't surprise me either way.
Yeah, no, it's a good point. And Fenwick has, even beyond Nielsen, some of their guard defenders are really good. So as much as I'm hyping up Kiana Reigns right now, like she has a tall task in front of her if they get to that game. Yeah.
Any other kind of thoughts or points about Division 3 before we move on? Or
I'll give a shout out to Norwell. I saw them play earlier this year in that Pembroke game. That was probably the best regular season game I saw this year. Went to overtime, had some crazy shots. Both teams played really well, made great hustle plays. So I think Norwell's tough. They're just athletic every single season. They lost a lot of their talent from last year. So I think you kind of think, oh, they're not as good, and they're less talented than they were last year, but they're still very talented. Have a lot of great players. Alex Cassidy is kind of the leader there, but they have great role players who know their roles and play great defense. So I have Norwell beating Medway and advancing to the Elite Eight, and I'm losing to Cathedral. I think that there's a decent chance that happens. I wouldn't count Medway out either. Anna Freeman's a great player, but I think Norwell has that postseason experience, and a lot of those kids have learned from those past teams that can carry forward. So I think they'll make a little run.
And that would be a 13 seed beating a 4 seed too, right? It's another good. That's a good bold pick. I feel like I'm too much of a coward. It's a good pick.
Yeah, but laying it out. How is that cowardly?
No, that's true. Okay, yeah.
the Norwell won last year, right?
They
made the championship.
Made the championship.
Yeah,
that's right.
Runner-ups twice or runners-up twice.
Yeah. That's right.
I'm a big in that matters. I feel like once you have a deep run in you and you've seen what it takes and you're on that team as like a sophomore, I think that really matters a lot when you're a junior or senior.
Absolutely. All right. Let's move on to D2, which is led by, they have the bragging rights now after winning the Board 27 Comcast tournament, beating Wachusett there. Medfield, number 1 Medfield, who remains undefeated. They beat defending Division 1 champion Wachusett at the Comcast tournament. So you can make a pretty good argument that they're the best team in the state, regardless of division. They are obviously number 1 here in D2, but it's not just them. This is a pretty loaded bracket with number 2, Whitman Hanson, number 3 St. Mary's, number 4 Foxborough. If you even go down, like number 6 Walpole, number 9 North Quincy, like these are some like really good teams that could go in any kind of direction, I guess. But we'll start with Ethan here. What are your kind of initial takeaways on this bracket?
Yeah, this is a ridiculous bracket. I would argue, and maybe Trevor can correct me if he remembers another one. This might be like the best bracket in the 5 years of the state tournament, as far as like top team star power and also depth. Like top to bottom, this is ridiculous. And again, I would say we said at the beginning of the season we thought D2 was the best, and I think it has exceeded our expectations. Like there are teams that I didn't think were going to be in the hunt that are, like Foxborough and Minnetonka as a 5 seed, Walpole, yeah. North Attleboro as a 10 seed is like a very good 10 seed. And so all that being said, I will first get out of the way. As much as we're hyping this bracket up, it also might be the most boring one because Medfield is just so good. And
Larry, why can't I say who's taking second?
Yeah. Like this is going to be an awesome battle to see who finishes runner up to Medfield, in my opinion. And I feel bad saying that in some ways, but they're insane. So I have Medfield winning. My final four is Medfield, Whitman Hanson 2 seed, St. Mary's 3 seed, and Minnetonka 5 seed. I do have Minnetonka beating Foxborough on the road. Minnetonka is probably the best team that I have not watched in person. So I'm a little concerned that I just don't know them well enough. I might be overrating them, but they've beaten Springfield Central and they've beaten Wachusett, which only one other team has beaten one of those teams. So that says a lot to me. And I just think they defended a really high level. They're pretty balanced, even though they have a freshman, Zahara Wilson, who's also very good in her own right individually. So I like them. But again, like I might have picked 1, 2, 3, 5. And I put St. Mary's in the final. So I have Medfield beating St. Mary's. I might have got 1, 2, 3, 5, but there were so many places where I was like, I don't know about this. So like Whitman Hanson and Oliver Ames possibly meeting in the quarterfinal after Oliver Ames just beat Whitman Hanson at the Spartan Classic. That's a tough one. St. Mary's just lost as the host of the Spartan Classic, so they're vulnerable. Walpole, we just saw lose in the Comcast tournament, so they're vulnerable. Who else did I go around? North Quincy's been kind of up and down, but I like them. Same with Norwood as the 8 seed. Even like if you go into the round of 32, which usually we kind of breeze past a lot of those matchups, like North Attleboro and Milton as a 10 versus 23 is a really interesting game. Northampton and Drake, it's a really interesting game. Hingham and Arlington Catholic as a 16-17, that's like one of the better 16-17 matchups you'll find. So there's so many places that you can pick an upset, and I wouldn't say you're crazy. I could see 6 or 7 different games, and Trevor did pick some of those games, so I will turn it over to you. But yeah, you can fill this bracket out in so many different ways.
Yeah, I like your pick. St. Mary's to the championship game is an interesting pick. I didn't have it myself, but it certainly could happen. Jeff Newhall is one of the best coaches in the state, and I feel like he'll find a way to kind of get them deep. But I actually do have Walpole beating St. Mary's. I know he and their longtime friends, Sean McInnes and Jeff Newhall, so I think that'll be a fun matchup if it does happen. I saw them after the Norwood St. Mary's game, and they were schmoozing and they were buddy. So I think that'll be a lot of fun. So I do have Walpole advancing to the Final Four, and then I do have Oliver Ames over Whitman Hanson. I went for it. Perhaps that's the recency bias as well, but I think the fact that they beat them, it happened. So we were in the deal would occur. So the fact that if there's any chance of an upset, I'm going to pick it. That's how I look at this. So I think Avery Gamble is one of the best players in the state, period. So she's really fun to watch. And Mario Rhodes is awesome. Maeve Horsman, just a great player as well. Great rebounder, defender. Will hit a big shot when you need it. So I think the fact that they just did it speaks volumes, and they can do it again. But I would not count Whitman Hanson out. I've seen this story too many times to count them out. Malia Pierre and Dylan Hurley are one of the best duos in the state, and Leah Daly is awesome as well, and they're role players and know their roles as well. So I think that's going to be one of the best games of any division. Oliver Ames, Whitman Hanson, and I picked Oliver Ames, but we'll see what happens. Then of course I have Medfield, and then I have Foxborough over Minnetonka. But not having seen Minnetonka, it's a little bit tricky to pick that one. But as you said, they're a great team, so I think that's kind of a toss up. Then I have Medfield over Foxborough, and Oliver Ames over Walpole, and Medfield, of course, winning it all. I think it's Medfield's to lose. I would be surprised if they lost. They can beat you in so many different ways. Their shooting is, they're easily the best shooting team in the state by a significant margin, but they're also probably the best defensive team in the state, which I think people don't talk about enough. They're great defensively. Abby Broderick is super long and athletic. Naya gets a ton of steals. Kameli's an awesome defender. We saw her the other day get a ton of rebounds, and she's just everywhere. A fearless freshman. Tess is kind of the glue there, and Paige Henry just does a great job as well. So I think they're definitely the best team in Division 2, and they beat Wachusett. So they do have the claim as the best team in the state. So if they win, of course, which I think they will. So I think it's going to be probably the most compelling bracket of the 5. D1 is also awesome as well, but I just think D2 is a different level of parity outside of Medfield. So I think there are a lot of upsets to expect, and I think it will be a lot of fun.
Yeah, Medfield, like, it's amazing because you said they're the best shooting team. I agree. The press that they run, no team has successfully cracked it. It's like amazing. And then for being a team that, I mean, their tallest player is maybe 5'10" at most, maybe not even. And yet they like do a pretty good job rebounding the basketball. And like against Wachusett, especially when they have a lot of size. And you mentioned Kameli, just a sick rebounder. And then Paige Henry's a good rebounder. Tess Bach is a good rebounder. Naya Anagiri in her own right is a good rebounder. They like just kind of gang rebound as a team. And it makes up for the fact that they're a super small team. And so that was always my concern, but they've proven that doesn't really matter.
Yeah,
Trevor,
they're just so. Oh, go ahead, Steve. You go.
No, I want you guys to cook. Don't mind me.
They're just they play such good basketball. Like that's the thing that if I had to sum it up in just one sentence, they just play good basketball. Like they just play the right way. They make the extra pass. They turn down good shots for great shots. They all hustle. They all know their roles. They're very unified, cohesive. They understand what it takes to win. Like they have so many games where they win like 80-30 and it's not very fun. And that can be hard to flip that switch when you get in a close game against Wachusett. But they look like they had been there before, and it's because they have in the past years and in the tournaments. So a lot of those players have been, through the fire in there, and they've come out stronger from it. So, and then Kameli's just watched her sister play over the years, and she's acted like she's been there the whole time now. It's been pretty impressive to watch. So I think this team probably is a little bit better than last year's team, just because those players have gotten a little bit better. Naya is just electric, and Kameli joining the party is a fun addition. So they obviously missed Izzy, just like as a teammate, and she's a great player, but they've really retooled seamlessly, and it's been impressive to watch. So I would be stunned, not surprised, but stunned if someone beat them.
Yep, I echo all that.
I was just going to say, Trevor, you know better than most about how good of a shooting team they are, right? Because you actually went up against them in a shooting competition.
Yeah, wait. Unpack some of that for us. Like, what was that like? I was very jealous, but also I didn't want to embarrass myself in a contest. So I think you were the right person to do it. But how was that?
Thank you. It was a lot of fun. You would have held your own, don't worry. So we just did like tons of different competitions throughout the day. Like it was like free throws. How many threes can you hit in a certain amount of time? Like 2 people on this side, 2 people on that side, going head to head, 5 on that side, 5 on this side. Just see who hits the most threes in a certain amount of time, and stuff like that. And then Mark Nickerson seeded us. So I got the 2 seed behind Kameli.
Wow.
Yeah. So then we did how many threes you can hit. I believe it was a minute. And so I was feeling pretty good. I advanced to the semifinals, and then I was up against Abby, and I was like, okay, I think I hit like 5 or 6 in a minute. And I was like, that's decent. Maybe I could have hit like 8 or 9, but it's pretty good. And then I looked over and she had like, I think it was like 10 or 11. It was crazy. So it wasn't even close. And then Naya was actually the 6th seed, which is kind of nuts. Maybe she was just like chilling, letting other people have some fun. And then she advanced to the championship, and she and Abby, I'm not exaggerating, this is truly what happened. They both hit 16 of 17 threes in a minute. 16 of 17 threes. And they tied. And they went to overtime. And then Abby just happened to miss, and Naya made it, and Naya won. So they can see the basketball. I was happy with my 3rd place finish, or I guess 3rd or 4th, depending on how you look at it. And it was intense. It was a lot of fun, and I'm glad I did it.
It's ridiculous. So yeah, that's if there's any
on, and on. It's not 16 of 17. Crazy.
Not to make this like too much about Medfield. We've already talked a lot about them, but I guess I'm curious, like what would it take for them to lose? Like what would that look like? Is that even like possible? Like can you even see that happening in any circumstance whatsoever?
A good question. I think there's only a certain kind of team that can do it. I think you need a true star to kind of go off against them, is what I would say. Like if Whitman Hansen advances the championship and Malia she has like 35 and 15, like that would be the way to do it. Like, okay, like this player is just unconscious. We cannot stop this player. I think that's really the only way you can do it. I'm looking at the bracket here. I think like Walpole, Bella Bingham would have to go off. St. Mary's, CC Emmanuel would have to go off. Oliver Ames, Avery Gamble. I think it just takes one player being truly great and then other players hitting big shots to beat them. But I don't think it's going to happen.
Yeah, I think I would echo what Trevor said. I would think still, you really need a big but like a dominant big. And what Wachusett, J-Staub was kind of in foul trouble in that game, which hurt. But they didn't really dominate the front court like I thought they could. So if Bella Bingham has like, I don't know, a 20-20 type of game and like takes over on the boards in addition to scoring, maybe that gets them in it. You need to slow Medfield down, which is very hard to do. You need to play pretty fast because they're going to press you. And that's really hard to do. I think I've thought about this. I forget how much we've talked about this, Trevor, but when we think about like the best teams in general of the statewide tournament era, like I think Andover, the Andover team that won the title a couple of years ago would be like the type of team that could beat Medfield.
I would probably pick Andover over Medfield. I think Andover is slightly better.
Yeah. And I think like Anna Foley, who Steve, since you didn't get to see her, she's a 6'3" center. She plays at Quinnipiac now. She is the type of player who like would dominate a matchup like that. And I think that would be very helpful. So otherwise, there are not a lot of teams just in general that can beat Medfield.
Yeah.
I think Leona Cunningham is putting this on the bulletin board right now. North Quincy is the feistiest team in the state, I think, and they truly believe they can beat them even after that. So if Alea Colbert has a great game and they just kind of play inspired basketball, you never know. I mean, they have to get past Norwood first, which is not an easy game either. Norwood also has a great big Ellen Baranowski, so they have a chance. They, of course, know Medfield a little bit too well, but they kept it close in the first half against them in the regular season. So possible. I wouldn't bank on it, but it's possible.
Yeah. Please, like, rest of the state, please prove us wrong and, like, give Medfield a great game because I would love to see it. But
in the first round.
Yeah.
Friend of the pod, Leanna Cunningham. Shout out, Leanna.
Yes.
So D2, Medfield's to lose bulletin board material for the rest of that division. We'll see how that shakes out. And now let's wrap things up with Division 1. Top 4 seeds there. We got number 1 Springfield Central, number 2 Bishop Feehan, number 3 Wachusett, the defending champion, as we've discussed. Number 4 is Andover, and then behind them we have some pretty true contenders. Worcester South at 5, Natick at 6, Needham at 9, Braintree at 7. A lot of good teams in this division. Obviously, Division 1 is always pretty well stocked with contenders and good teams. Where do we start here with Division 1, Trevor?
I think D1 is pretty close to D2. I would probably say D2 is a bit stronger, but D1 is very, very close. I think there are so many games early that could be awesome. Like a Needham Woburn in the 8-9 could be a great game. Let's see. I like Westford Academy and Newton North in the 13-20. Newton North's kind of a sneaky team that honestly like is capable of beating Andover. Like I'm not picking that, but like actually could beat Andover. That's like the upset I didn't pick that really I might be like, oh, that actually like makes sense. Andover's great, don't get me wrong, but it could happen. KP is a team I really like. They have a ton of shooting. I think they can make a little run. I have them over South, which might be wrong, but it could happen. Bishop Feehan is interesting with Addie Fournette, unfortunately out with a hand injury. We were sad when Amy Dolores told us that. It's unfortunate. She's been their second best player this year, maybe third along with Janet Lamarticelli. So that was too bad that she's out. So that kind of changes the complexion for them, but they're still fully capable of Lauren Mullen leading the way. Franklin Arlington, great game in the first round. Acton Boccerell Brookline. There are just tons of games early that I think could go either way, and those are going to be awesome battles. And then I have, let's see, the final 4. I have Springfield Central, Andover. I have Braintree over Bishop Feehan. That might be recency bias as well. But Braintree's playing really well right now, and Feehan didn't look the best against Wachusett. Obviously, that's Wachusett, so we all know that. But they didn't look the best there. But I've seen Feehan 5 times this year. I think the most of any team, so I would not count them out. I picked Braintree. And then I have Wachusett and Natick. I think Natick is one of the few teams that could beat Wachusett. That it would take almost a perfect effort, but the way they play fast and a fearless brand of basketball. And Oryx Cohen's done a great job there with Kayla Domap and Denai Williams leading the way. So I think they're a team that could potentially beat them. I do have Wachusett advancing. Then I have Wachusett over Braintree and Springfield Central over Andover. And then I have Wachusett winning. I think it's not quite as strong as D2. in the fact that, Medfield is by far the favorite. Wachusett is the favorite in D1, but I think there are teams that could beat them, just because, a team like Springfield Central is battle tested. They've seen a lot of great teams, very athletic. Bishop Fee and Molly can get hot at any moment. A team like South is great. Andover, Natick, all really good teams. But I think it's Wachusett's to lose, but I don't think it's a guarantee.
Yeah, I'll follow that. Again, echoing a lot of what Trevor said, I think we've hyped up the Division 2 bracket so much that I would also say this D1 bracket has quietly exceeded my expectations too. You mentioned Newton North. I picked Newton North over Westford, and just like you, I was like, wow, they really could beat Andover, but I didn't make that pick. Come on. I would say, I know. I gotta put myself
Gotta be
out
as
there.
bold as me.
Yeah, seriously. So you mentioned the Needham Woburn round of 16 game. That is an awesome one too. That I think that might be the best round of 16 game in the tournament. I think that's a really good game. So I have my final four is Springfield Central, Bishop Fee. Again, I love that 2-7 possible quarterfinal. I think I got a little bit more confidence back to Bishop Fee because they bounced back and beat North Quincy, I think by 19 in the consolation game of the Comcast tournament. So that made me feel a little bit better about them. And Molly Mullen is really, really good. But I like watching Braintree a lot. They've played very well whenever I watch them. And then I echo what you say about Natick. Just unfortunate that they got the Wachusett quadrant of this bracket. It's a bummer for them, but I have Springfield Central, Bishop Fee, and Wachusett, and Worcester South, who I think they're the best defense in this bracket. And when they're going to play a lot of teams that don't score a ton, and I think that is going to help them, at least until they get to the Final Four. And then I have Wachusett also beating Springfield Central. That might be the only thing we agree on this year in only a championship matchup. Wow.
Usually
that's not normal.
Usually we have the exact same picks.
Yeah. Interesting. So I will say, just to do a very quick Springfield Central rundown, because I only got to see them once. I know you haven't seen them yet, but they have a point guard, Giovanna Mars, who's very, very good. Great athlete, great defender, can shoot a little bit. Maya O'Connor-Saunders, kind of another just glue point guard who shoots pretty well, also very good defender. Their entire team is a great defensive team. And then they have Zion Wallace, the freshman who I've hyped up all the time, who again, she's been kind of up and down this year, but her highs, her peak games are awesome. She had 27 in the Western Mass Class A final to help Springfield Central beat Minnechaug in overtime. So she's ready. So I think that's going to be I think it's going to be a sneaky good game if we get that championship matchup. But how are you going to pick against Jay Scott and Tegan Lamfer and Sophie Gibbons and what you say? You're not going to do it. So
Steve knows. Jay Scott, Steve knows.
I know.
Yeah,
I know.
Yeah,
Tegan's one of my favorite players to watch, boys and girls. She's electric.
He's such a baller.
Super competitive. We watched her score 17 points in a quarter against Medfield, which was insane to watch. We were sitting there what did she have at halftime? Did she have 17 at halftime? We were like, oh, did she just get all those in the second quarter?
What?
It was how did that even happen? She's just like a lightning bolt with the ball. Can shoot it. Defends. No, I'm giving the girls analysis.
Good. Let's go.
Yeah, and Jay Scott's plays a different sport. She was playing volleyball. So she had some moments against Medfield where I was just yeah, she's just clearly the best player on the court. It doesn't.
Yeah.
And obviously, it was a shame that she got in foul trouble in that game. I would have liked to see. Obviously, she had the tech at one point, but it would have been. I would have liked to see what would happen if Wachusett wasn't stuck in foul trouble in that game. I think maybe it would have been different. Maybe it would have been closer at the end, but no, I think you guys are right. I think Wachusett is the team to beat here with Jay and Tegan. I'm excited about a potential semifinal, which would be a rematch of last year's Epic Championship game, right?
Yes. Yeah.
It would be different. It would be different rosters, but
if we get Fee and Wachusett,
yeah.
And what's crazy, as much as we're oh man, Wachusett destroyed them, and that kind of sets the tone. I remember 2 years ago they destroyed Bishop Fee in the Comcast tournament, and then lost to Bishop Fee in the state championship. And so,
yeah,
that's a testament of you really never know what is possible when you get to the postseason.
Definitely. I think it's going to take a pretty Herculean effort from Bishop Fee, and it's nothing against them. They're a great team, but I just think Wachusett is 1 year bigger, 1 year stronger, 1 year faster with those three, and Kylie Yurkis and Hannah Quinn, also great role players. So I think they have essentially the same team back, and Fee lost a lot of talent. Fee and Amy Dolores has done one of the best coaching jobs of anyone in the state this year to keep that team where it is. And they do have a ton of talent, and Fee's an awesome program, but I think it would take a pretty ridiculous effort for them to beat them if they do see them in the semifinals.
Yeah.
Ethan, I don't know if you went into more detail on Worcester South, but are they? What do you? I know you had the feature on them at the beginning of the season. Could they maybe spoil the party a little bit? Like what is their kind of potential in this bracket?
Yeah, so they, again, their defense is incredible. I just watched them for the first time this year. They went to Foxborough and beat Foxborough in the Warrior Classic. They won 40-38, which kind of sums up how they win basketball games. They beat Bishop Fee earlier this year, 35-34. They have only one opponent in state, or maybe in general, I think just in state, has cleared 43 points against them all season. And that was Springfield Central, who put up 75. So I don't think Worcester South has the offensive firepower to stick with Springfield Central or Wachusett. But again, I think in this corner of their bracket, where Trevor mentioned King Philip is going to be an interesting, tough test for them, but there aren't a lot of super great offenses. Andover is a very good team, but they're not the offense isn't really why they win games. And so I think if it stays low scoring, I think Worcester South can come out of that corner of the bracket as a Final Four member. I think if they play Andover, that's going to be like a 35-30 final score. It's going to be a rock fight. And I will say, I'm picking South here. I do think I have underrated Andover all season, and then they beat St. Mary's in the Spartan Classic, which is almost impossible to do. So that showed me a lot. And Trevor and I have both said, not that I don't know if we could do a ranking of anything, but Alan Habino is he's like the Mount Rushmore of truly elite coaches in MIAA basketball. He is such a smart coach who gets a lot out of the talent that he has. So
he's a great motivator. I feel like his team drill is prepared, and they have exactly what he wants them to do. It's like a very organized situation.
Yeah. So I'm a little worried that I'm sleeping on just that general makeup of Andover in this. We'll see.
Yeah, I saw Andover twice at Comcast, or not Comcast. What's the tournament called? The
Christmas Classic, Commonwealth Motors.
Yep, that one, Commonwealth. I saw them twice there. They're a fun team to watch. One player that a lot of people may not know about is Haley Magenheim. She's one of my favorite players to watch in the state. She kind of has an old school game where she'll just keep it simple. She'll just be on the baseline and then dart to the middle. No dribbles, no frill, just a nice little floater. And she'll just make it every time. So I really like her game. She just has a simple yet effective game. And she works really well with Kelly Martin, who's one of the best shooters in the state as a sophomore and will be one of the best players in the state as a junior and senior. And Kira Lanahan's a great player, and they're just a really good team. They're very organized and play good basketball. So I think that could be a great game. Like you said, it's probably going to be 35-34, but I think it would be a great quarterfinal if they play South. And I think Andover has a little bit more shooting based on what I've seen. So I think they'll probably advance in that one, but we'll see what happens.
Yep. They got a freshman back, Lexi Lindsay, who I guess was hurt a lot of the early part of the season. And then she had 17. Yeah. So that's big.
Any other closing thoughts on D1?
I think that's most of it. Yeah.
Say one more thing on Natick. I just feel like if Natick was on the other side, I probably would have picked them to make the championship game over Springfield Central. They have a great team, so the fact that they might lose, probably will lose realistically, in the quarterfinals is kind of a tough draw for them. If they had been the 5 seed, I feel like they could have really made a crack at this thing. So they have a great team, and I just think it's going to be a tough exit for them against a superior team. They're awesome, but I don't think they have the firepower to keep up with Wachusett. So kudos to them on a great season if they do advance to the Elite Eight and lose, which is the most likely outcome.
Yeah, I would agree with that, which is a bummer for them, but it's kind of the way it goes. Yeah.
Before we wrap up, I know you both want to reveal 2 teams of 10 players to watch, if I understand this correctly, right?
Mm-hmm.
I'll kind of open the floor for you guys. Like who are like, let's reveal the list. Who are the players to watch in the tournament?
Yeah, Trevor, I'll let you go first. But yeah, this is just like kind of 10 players we think are going to define a lot of the tournament, or just like must see. If you're looking for a playoff game and you want to find star power, like these are the players you should go and see. So Trevor, you can go first.
So the way I looked at this is like, I'm building a team essentially. So I tried to look at it like positionally, like, okay, I need a point guard, shooting guard, small forward, power forward, center. So I tried to kind of build my ideal super lineup for a team 1 and team 2. So I kind of put teammates together. It wasn't necessarily 5 best players. It was like, okay, I'm trying to win a game. Who do I go to? So that's how I looked at it, just for background. So my team 1 is Celia Nielsen, Nia Anagari, Abby Broderick, Jay Scott, and Caitlin Boyle. So I put the 2 Medfield players and 2 Fema players together. I feel like they have such good chemistry together. And then Jay Scott is just a ridiculous athlete. So I feel like they'll be great in transition and great defensively. So that's a team that I think would be rather tough to beat. And then team 2, I have Tegan Lanfer, Molly Mullen, Kayla Dunlap, Malia Pierre, and Bella Bingham. So I think that would be a super athletic team that probably would challenge team 1. I think team 1 would have a little more shooting. But team 2 is awesome, and I think they would give them a run for their money. So there are many other great players: Frankie Mazzini, Dylan Hurley, Avery Gamble, Jenna Michu, Eva Andrews. I'll give those 5 a shout out. But yeah, just tons of great players, and we're excited to watch it all unfold.
Yeah, I went pretty similar with mine. Less of the teammate pairings, but I think if I quickly heard your list, I think we have like eight of the same players. So one of my teams was Nia Anagari, Medfield, Celia Nielsen, Fenwick, Molly Mullen, Bishop Bean, Jay Scott, Wachusett, and Kayla Dunlap, Natick. I think that team would just like run and gun and just like outrun everyone pretty much. That's a ton of scoring and shooting. And then second team, also pretty similar, versatile and a lot of shooting: Avery Gamble, Oliver Ames, Abby Broderick, Medfield, Kiana Rains, Cathedral, Malia Pierre, Whitman Hansen, Bella Bingham, Walpole. And then barely missing the cut, and like very valid picks would also be Caitlin Boyle. And I think Eva Andrews too at Needham kind of flies a little bit under the radar because she doesn't like rack up points, but she's a double-double, like potential triple-double machine. One of the best shot blockers, I would say, and like true centers in MIAA right now.
Lindsay Miller claims she averages 6.7 blocks per game. I don't know. I have not confirmed that.
That's wild.
That is the stat she sent me: 6.7 blocks per game. So, and that's incredible.
Wow.
Yeah. I think that says enough. Yeah.
All right. High level star power in girls MIAA. Yeah, Dave, producer Dave, do we have time for full court press before we wrap things up?
Full court press.
Yes, welcome back to Full Court Press, where I offer 3 questions for each of our 3 panelists here. They're unprepared for these questions. They are sweating. They are nervous, but and none more perhaps than the guest, Trevor. No, I'm just kidding. He looks cool as a cucumber. But Trevor, we're going to let you go first on this first question. What's the loudest crowd you've ever heard at attendance in a basketball game? Could be any level, could be any year, but in person, what's the loudest crowd that you can remember?
Well, the game that immediately comes to mind is a Syracuse-Duke game that I was fortunate enough to cover. Probably still the best game I've covered. Back in 2014, it was electric. Both teams were highly ranked, and the dome was packed back when Syracuse was good at basketball. So that was a lot of fun. That was just the best atmosphere I've been in if I had to pick one. So that's the one that comes to mind right away.
Who won?
Syracuse in overtime.
In overtime? Wow. This is circa what year, what era?
2014.
Oh, okay. Nice. All right. Well, that's a real good answer. I don't know how you guys are going to top that, but you can try.
That's a good one.
Steve Hewitt, your memories on the loudest you've ever heard a basketball arena.
Go to Ethan. I'm trying to remember a specific Celtics game. Give me a minute.
Okay. Trevor says Syracuse Duke. Hewitt says pass. Ethan, we'll give it's fine. If it's going to make your answer better, we support that. Ethan, your thoughts?
I've been to a couple Celtics playoff games, so those are probably up there. I will let me throw a more underrated one though, and this is just from me covering games. BU Holy Cross Women's Basketball Patriot League Championship, 2023, I believe, is in. So Case Gym, I'm not the biggest fan of Case Gym, to be totally honest, but it is a tiny, tiny little gym, and it gets really loud in there when the gym is filled, which for BU basketball, all due respect, they do not fill that gym very much, but they filled it for the Patriot League championship game for this women's team. BU was down like 20 most of this game and came back all the way to tie it and ultimately lost. But when they like got to tie it in like the final 2 minutes, it was cool as someone who was there as a student and now as a just reporter. Like I had never ever seen the gym close to that loud and people were losing their minds. So I don't know if that is like scientifically the loudest one, but that's the most memorable like loud crowd that I've had.
Excellent answer. Yeah, I wonder if sort of psychologically we hear things louder maybe when we've got a personal stake in it. I can remember I went to Penn, and Ivy League games are not known for their loudness, but I can remember the Palestra in Philly, just like the roof was going to come off the place in the game. We were playing Princeton, and the Quakers did win in a rare moment there back in the late 80s. Anyway,
let's go.
Hewitt, I've been vamping as long as I can for you to prepare this answers. What's the loudest?
I think I'm going to go with 2023 playoffs that I covered when the Celtics beat the 76ers in Game 7 and Jason Tatum had 50. Or is it 51?
I think it was 51. That's a good one.
It was 51. I remember the crowd getting really popping because I think he had this like insane stretch in the third quarter that like kind of put it out of reach. And that was obviously a very emotional series because they had been down 3-2. They had to win Game 6 at Philly to force the Game 7.
Are you sure that was actual crowd noise and not the PA system pumping in the crowd noise?
I don't think the Garden would do that. They don't need to do that.
Oh, no. Well, I'm sure that was it's a playoff game. If you can't get loud for that, you can't. Well, those are all excellent answers. Well done. We'll start with let's see. We'll start with Ethan on this one. There's an old adage that defense wins championships, but in recent years, it seems that the NBA and college as well, I think, have emphasized offense a lot more. Forced to choose, Ethan, what wins championships? You can answer this however you want, NBA, college, whatever. Forced to choose what wins championships, offense or defense, and why?
Okay. I'm going to say defense, I think. I don't know how great I feel about that, but I do think that when it comes down to single game or series and you're like scouting an opponent, I think it's like the ability that you have to take away opponent's strengths is like the most derailing thing for their confidence and just like the best way you can set the tone as a team. So that is like, I think the best way you can do that is defense, rebounding, controlling possessions, that sort of stuff. So I think that's what I'd pick. And like, even I'm trying to think like past NBA champions, like the Thunder were one of the league's best defenses. The Celtics, when they won it all, as much as everyone loved their offense, they were also one of the league's best defenses. I feel like that still holds true a good amount of the time.
Good answer. I think the Celtics' last most recent championship, I think, was definitely one on defense. Well,
yeah,
and three-point shooting. But Steve, your thoughts? Forced to choose offense.
Yeah. I'll play devil's advocate. I definitely think defense is super important, but I feel like the most recent champions have all been pretty high level shooting teams. I'm thinking the Celtics, obviously 2 years ago, and maybe the Thunder weren't as good of a 3-point shooting team, but they always had the best offensive player in the league with Shea. So I think, I don't know, we've seen obviously a trend in more offensive direction. I mean, the cop-out answer is that you really probably need both, but I'm leaning towards offense right now.
All right, Trevor, that leads you to break the tie. Forced to choose, does offense or defense win championships?
I hate to disagree with Ethan, but I'm happy to agree with Steve. I got to go offense on this one. I think a lot of times defensive teams make deep runs and they really piss teams off and they get in their heads. Can I say piss? I think so.
Yeah.
Okay, good. So they get in their heads and you know, they fluster them and they're great. They're fun to watch, and those scrappy teams are some of the best teams. But I feel like a lot of those defensive teams end up getting to the semifinals or finals and then let us run into a wagon, like the team that's kind of quietly, dominating on the other side of the bracket the whole time. So I think defense gets you far, but I think the best offensive teams are ultimately the ones that generally win it all. And they're usually great defensively. Obviously, we all know that it takes both, but I think the offense is a little bit more important. The goal is to put the ball in the basket. So I think that's the ultimate objective in basketball from my experience.
Wise words. All right. The winner is nobody. It's a draw. No, I don't know. It's for you to decide, the listener. Final question for Full Court Press. We'll start with you, Trevor. If you had to win one game, call it Game 7 of the NBA Finals, and you could pick anyone to coach your team, past or present, alive or dead, what coach would you want on the floor for your team? What do you think, Trevor?
Wow, that's a great question.
Thanks.
Give me 1 second on that one.
You want me to make one of the boys go first?
No, I'll just think. I'll do it quickly.
Okay.
This is good. This gives the listeners can also think of their own answers. This is a good collective.
Yeah. See if you can. What?
I'm not necessarily a Duke guy, but I think I would go Coach K.
Oh, interesting. Okay.
He's just won so much, and I just trust him more than anyone else. Dan Hurley's probably a close second, or Gino. Gino's probably a close third. A lot of options. I'm kind of going the college route. Obviously, Phil Jackson's a great bet. John Wooden back to college would be fun. Ethan Matthews, Alan Habino.
Yeah.
He's like, I was going to. No, I think I'd probably go. Well, I don't know. It's tough.
Okay.
Yeah.
You're going with Coach K. All right.
Okay.
Yes. Thank you for answering the question with 10 coaches when I only asked for one.
That's okay.
It's okay. All great thoughts, Trevor. Let's see. We'll go to Ethan next. One coach. Ethan.
Okay. One coach. I'm going to go. I forget. You asked, I think, not this exact question, but kind of a similar question. And it was asking for, it was a similar kind of greatest coach in a moment. So I'll go with Pop. I'll go Pop. I think I answered whatever the other question was with him. He's done it with so many different, he's done it with so many different types of teams. But he still gets them all to play in a way that he wants to play, gets everyone involved. Gino would be my backup answer, but Pop is I'll lock in Pop.
Gino getting a lot of love today. Yeah. You're right. Now that you say that, Ethan, I think I did ask this very similar question.
Yeah.
It's a good question. I wanted to hear Trevor on it.
All right. Well, we got Trevor's thoughts. Steve, what would you like to add?
I
don't know if you remember how you answered it.
I answered this with Red Auerbach because
nice.
He's I'm pretty sure he's undefeated in Game 7s as a coach.
Yeah.
Trevor, you might know.
Plus, we could look that up.
Yeah. So I'll stick with that. Nothing's changed in the month since you last asked that question. Just kidding with you. I would can we maybe twist this?
Yeah, go.
Maybe I don't know if this is going to get us in trouble with the coaches we cover, but what if we picked an MIAA coach to win a state championship? Who are we picking?
Yeah,
that could get dangerous. Or a tournament game, or who an MIAA.
I think it's fair as long as with the preface that there are so many good coaches and it's hard to choose.
Yeah.
But just to give a coach a deserved shout out, why don't we do it, Steve? You brought it up, Steve. You get to go first.
Can I do boys since
your question? I don't know. Yes.
Go ahead. Yeah.
A lot. Let me think about it.
Wow.
After all that, Steve, come on.
Well, Ethan,
I just had an idea pop up in my head. I need to do this. I need to give it a minute of thought.
All right, give a shout out.
We can just access. Save it for a future
episode. No, the train's rolling. People want to know.
Let's do it. Ethan, give a thought. If not the best coach, maybe the most underrated coach who deserves a shout out. Who you got?
Okay, coach who deserves the shout out. I'm not going to do Alan Habino because I already gave him the shout out. I will pick, who I'm going to pick? Even though he is not, I don't think he's won a state championship. He consistently gets teams that I think are better than the on paper college prospect talent. Give me Steve Sullivan at Woburn because he gets them to play a lead defense every time, gets people to move the ball. I don't think he's historically had a ton of superstar bucket getters, but he gets them to score when they need to. I I like watching him coach his team too. I think he's always very composed. Yeah, give me Steve Sullivan at Woburn.
All right. Trevor?
It's not meant to be a cop-out, but I'm going to go with a former coach, just so I don't ruffle any feathers. I'm going to go with Laney Clemens Holbrook at Oliver Ames.
That's a good one.
Just like a beast of a coach, like very, very aware of what each player needs, like how to push the right buttons, has them very organized, great motivator, and honestly, great. You don't really recruit in high school, but great recruiter. Like she's had a lot of those players come through the program who maybe could have gone elsewhere and they stayed. Of course, some have gone elsewhere as well, but a lot of them have stayed to play for the program. And I think she's just a really smart basketball mind and really fun person to talk to. So definitely a legend in the industry, and I would go with her.
She's the all-time winningest coach, right? Do I know this? I don't know.
That sounds off the top of my head. Definitively, but that sounds right.
I believe that at least. Yeah.
Okay. All right. Final chance.
I'm gonna cover myself too with a former coach. I'm gonna go with John Walsh at Malden Catholic, who won 3 straight at Malden Catholic before. Obviously, he resigned before the beginning of this year, and they made 4 straight finals in D2. Always getting the best out of his teams. Coaches them hard, but he's tough on his players, but he always seemed to get the most out of his teams. And then shout out Paul Connolly too at Norton North. Had a long and illustrious career. Made the state final last year. Had a state championship, I believe, in 2005. Similar to John. They both stepped down following last season's runs. But I would go into a battle with both those guys.
All right. There were some rocky moments, but overall, well done, everyone in Full Court Press. As a parting gift, you'll all be receiving copies of a book written by Steve Hewitt. It's called Great Questions That I Don't Have Answers to. Enjoy.
Fair enough.
Fair enough.
Back to you guys to wrap things up.
Yeah. All right. Well, we'll wrap things up. Yeah. Great analysis as always from you two about the MIAA girls. We have a really fun 3 weeks ahead of us. I'm sure you're both going to go to several games in the coming weeks leading up to the state championships. But it should be fun to watch your races. Should be fun to watch your brackets burn. We'll see. But yeah, that'll do it for this episode of the HoopWise Podcast. For Trevor Hass from the Boston Globe, for Ethan Fuller, for producer David Yaz. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you at the Dunk Center in Lowell in a few weeks. Thanks.